Good morning, YouTube. Good morning, puppies. Thanks for joining us for another update here at Wicked. I'm glad you're back with us. It is an early morning. We're doing our walk, getting ready for our day, and we're going to get right into it very soon. I believe we'll be starting in the greenhouse where we're working to finish up or at least get an operational greenhouse, hopefully by the end of the month. And I'm glad you're here to join us. Hope you enjoy the update, and we'll get right to it. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
We're on our way down here to look at some fencing projects for later. And we found a healthy gopher snake. We've seen this guy a couple times up here on the driveway. He must hang out over here. He's keeping the rattlesnakes at bay, I think. There's the oak tree back there. So he's heading over. Good job, buddy. So slow. It's been cool in the evenings. So he's liking this warm morning. Good job, buddy. Okay, we are back from our morning walk around and planning. I've fluffed up our dirt for the day. Dogs love when the fresh dirt is ready to play on. So we've fluffed that back up. We're back here at the greenhouse ready to get started. Today we're going to continue where we left off in last week's video, which was yesterday for us. And we are going to continue to lay bags around the foundation bars and the end wall section. So you'll see what that looks like momentarily, and then we'll catch up when there's something to talk about. All right, we now have the entire west wall of the greenhouse bottom rail encased. We'll continue to go up this wall, as I've mentioned before, until the layer at the very top. So we'll be getting there. And now it's time to move to the other side and do the same thing. Okay, you saw us doing these three sections. Now we're moving on to the last three sections on the east side before we do the end walls. These, I just wanted to point out, you'll notice these sections where there's larger cobble-sized stones that we've gathered. And this is where, this right here is a dirt layer, and there is a gravel layer of bag underneath it. This is, if you've been watching for several weeks, you know Boomer, our digging dog, had gotten down here right after we laid this bag and dug it out. So we're just basically replacing those dig out sections with more large size rocks for drainage. And hopefully all that'll make sense to you once we get that far. And John is filling the very narrow crevice up there that we're going to cover with a bag with the drainage rocks as well, so that we can make sure there are no big gaps of space or anything like that. So we're going to get to this next part and then talk to you after. Okay, we have finished the east side now, along with the west side. It is a great time to stop for lunch because the sun is really out today. When we come back, we're going to be working on these end wall sections on the north side, which leads out to our doorway, our future doorway entrance zone. So we're working on that next, but we got all of the rails covered. We also got this one section that was very low, all shimmed up with rock, and we put rubble between to close any gaps. So in case you're wondering about drainage and how we're going to do this, I'm sure it'll make more sense as we go along, but we are putting rock until we run out of it along behind our retaining wall. There's also rock at the base of the entire structure. There's a layer of the same rock, and in places larger rock like this. Once we get up to this layer, there will be an additional bag on the surface, and any groundwater that makes it past our gutters and roof and all of that, if there's any drainage that makes it in to our natural dirt wall, but behind our retaining wall, it should reach this gravel and drain out and under without changing the integrity of the earthen wall. We've talked before in the past on this channel about how when you use clay-rich soil to build earthen walls, clay is very thirsty and it wants to wick water. So if you put the earthen wall and the clay-rich soil directly on a wet, permeable, muddy surface, it's going to wick that up, suck it up like a straw into the wall, and then eventually it'll cause sagging and the wall could fail. But in this case, what we're trying to do is mitigate that possibility by using gravel and large rubble in order to make a break between the earthen bags that we're creating and the natural ground, which in this case is honestly mostly granite, but just in case, we want good drainage. And any water that comes into the greenhouse, we want to capture it in the floor so that it can then wick up into our planter boxes. So that's what we're doing here. It is looking wonderful in my opinion. It's coming along great. It's time for us to have some lunch because I'm hungry and hot, and we will get you back here for next steps. Okay, it's a new day for us. You can see the clouds are in today. Very pleasant out here. Had a little bit of rain and we got started this morning on this side. This is the north wall where our entrance comes down. Eventually this will all be enclosed. You'll see that in the future. This is one of those boomer dig out areas. This is a dirt bag on top of a dirt bag and the gravel bag is underneath. This side, because of the grade of the hole, we only have one layer of dirt over a gravel bag. This next layer, we're going to continue on this side, but we're going to overlap the bag to interlock this corner here all the way over, and the same thing on this side. So we'll be overlapping all the way from there across for the next bag. So you'll see that on camera very shortly. Okay, the shadows are getting brighter, but you can see we've got another layer in. It is locked in to the wall on this side and backfilled, and locked into the wall on that side with backfill. I've also gone on the ends, I hope you can see it through the shadows, and put rubble. And I'm going to now lock in these ends with a bag going across in this direction on both sides. So I'll show you what that looks like. Then we'll take a look at it before our lunch break. Alrighty, we did both sides. You saw this one. The shadow's gone for a minute. So that's what we're getting at. You will see eventually how we tie these sections into our walkway section, but that's gonna be a little while. So John and I are gonna go have a water break, and then we're gonna come back and you'll probably see us down on that end, getting that wall to grow again. Okay, you saw us doing this bag down here on the south wall, and I thought I'd get up here and show you from the top so you can really see the curve and the taper that I'm creating with this retaining wall effect. It's kind of hard to see from down on the ground. So that's what it's looking like. We're getting ready to do another bag. This one's gonna start and overlap just like we did on the north wall and come across this way. I thought I'd also take a moment while I'm up here. I'm standing at the lowest point of the natural grade. So the natural grade is actually shortest back here, and it's highest in that corner where about John is standing. So that's the deepest part of the dirt pit portion and the highest part of our natural grade. So earlier we talked about how we're going to mitigate groundwater coming in by putting this drainage behind and under the wall, so that if it comes past our mitigation layers here at the surface, if it makes it through, then it'll have a place to drain out and into the greenhouse where we can capture and use it effectively. But I do want to mention this pit has been open for a year now, and it has sloughed off in places, but it is mostly decomposing granite, which drains pretty well naturally. It's topped with a layer of clay and mixed throughout. You can hear the thunder behind me. We're going to test the rain situation. But also, Wiki Up Knoll is sitting on a knoll on a hill. So we're on the south side of a upside down bowl on the land, so the water drains off pretty well. The highest point on my property is actually just beside where the house is, which is back in that direction at the driveway. And when it rains and there's sheet flow across the surface, it comes generally from this direction because water likes to flow downhill. So we've placed this greenhouse on a hill in a hole behind two other structures, pole barn and the chicken coop, so that if there's sheet flow, it's interrupted by those buildings before it even reaches the high point of this structure, which is back there, and then flows off in this direction. That has been effective even without all these retaining walls and drainage that we're doing, and we know that by observing it through monsoon season this year and what the wash-in situation has been. So I hope that answers some of the questions I've been getting about drainage and how we're gonna, deal with water, and will this all wash in and that kind of thing. So I hope you can see it a little better, and you can see kind of the taper that we're making, just slight and subtle, and in the direction to help with gravity and water flow. So we'll keep on going, and we'll check in a moment. Okay, that's a wrap for our bag session today. There's a storm over there. Thunder is all around. We've gotten little bits and fits and starts of storms today, which is always welcome. This is the look of it. I love it so much. It is looking great. It's very solid. Love working with these bags. I think it's going to be a wonderful place down here. Very functional and very sturdy, and lots of thermal mass to reflect back into our greenhouse. Also, just want to mention, this is what the bags sound like once they set up a bit, once you tamp them and do everything. It's hard as a rock, solid as a rock. So they're gonna do a great job down here for what we want to do. And that's what it's looking like right now. That's how it is. So we're gonna have some lunch and then we'll check back in after that to see what's next for this video. Okay, new day for us, same video. It is very breezy today, so please forgive the wind noise. This is the house site. We are hoping to continue this at the same time as our greenhouse build so that we make progress in both areas. You saw me marking off the courtyard wall with a door opening or gate opening there. I made a compass by putting a piece of rebar and a string, and I marked the circle to halfway in this wall and halfway in the other wall. This will be an exterior space of the house, but it will be covered with a pergola, so it'll be partial shade. That area will be full shade, but still exterior of the house. And today's job, because we're at one bag above dirt level on the house, we need to place a rubble layer around here and then prepare it for our first bag layer that we can tie in to our foundation walls here. So you'll see us working on the rubble layer, and you may also see us over here working to remove some of the debris along our retaining wall section as well. So we'll get to that later. Okay, you just saw John and I feverishly working on fast mode. I was working on this half of the semicircular courtyard area. I made it to the gate area, and I need to finish this section right now. So I'll be working on that. John was over here working on our retaining wall portion. We will be placing a rubble layer in the same manner at the base of this retaining wall. If you can see this line here, that is the natural grade of the land, and everything above that is dirt that came from the house site here, from excavating this space. So we're going to be using all of that in our walls as we build, and then the land will be restored back to that grade there. So we'll be placing a retaining wall there so that we can have a sunken patio area between the house and that zone in a nice shady area from the western sun. The west is that direction. So it'll be a nice area when it's all done and said, and all water runoff will be mitigated well. So you'll see us doing that some in the next video, as well as more work on our greenhouse. I want to thank you for joining us for this video and this update. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. And if you're looking to see what happens next on the greenhouse and a little bit of up here and whatever else we might get into, be sure and check in next week here at Wiki Up No Off Grid, and we will plan on seeing you Sunday.